Hello, my name is Tom, we are here at Gamechanger Audio, and this is the MOTOR Synth MKII. In this video, I want to look at the central element of the MOTOR Synth's performance interface, the 8-button keypad and the 4 pitch encoders. This keypad is not the only tool for controlling the MOTOR Synth. You can also play with the sequencer, arpeggiator, motion record, and external MIDI and CV controllers. And we will look at those in separate videos, and you can find the link to the playlist in the description below. So why use a seemingly limited keypad? Most of the standalone synthesizers come with a built-in traditional piano-style keyboard, and it is so for a good reason. It is a powerful performance tool, deeply embedded in the Western musical culture. Many musicians are familiar with it, and it allows them to go from one synthesizer to another without relearning how to play the instrument. And you can absolutely do this, you only need to use an external MIDI keyboard. But what if you don't know how to play the piano? Or if you want to play slightly differently. Let's say you want to play microtonal music, or you want to play the same note in unison and slightly detune it, or you want to take the synthesizer and play in your lap while sitting in a couch. The MOTOR Synth's keypad is partly inspired by groove boxes and drum machines, which usually come with their own type of user interface, which is not directly taken from an acoustic instrument. These are usually an integral part of the instrument that you learn how to play to unlock the full potential of the instrument. The keypad consists of 8 keys in 2 rows, and each key triggers all 3 voices. And in that way it is similar to a traditional piano keyboard. The MOTOR Synth supports up to 4-note polyphony. The main difference is that you can tune each key using the pitch encoders. As you can hear, each key can be tuned to any note or frequency in between, allowing you to explore all possible scales. And why stop there? You can just as easily tune each key to the same note and slightly detune them, play them together and explore beat frequencies. My favorite aspect of the tuning process is that it doesn't necessarily have to be part of the setup. It can also be part of the performance, especially when you put the keys in the latching mode, essentially turning the MOTOR Synth into a drone machine. If you want to return to the original tuning of the key, simply press the pitch encoder. Each encoder can tune both keys below it, and by default it's the last key played that the encoder will tune. It is possible to arm the other key for tuning without triggering the voices. Furthermore, it is possible to arm both keys for tuning at the same time. The pitch encoders are not the only method for assigning notes to the keys. If you access the note setup screen, you can change the root note and select the pre-programmed scale. These settings are saved in presets, And if you create your own custom tuning using the pitch encoders, that will also be saved in a preset. The step parameter can quantize the pitch encoders. So instead of microtonal tuning, you can have chromatic tuning quantized to semitones or tuning quantized to the notes of the selected scale. This can be useful both in setup and performance tuning. Two final parameters in the screen, detune min and detune max, deal with the alternative functions of the pitch encoders. So let's talk about that first. All of the pitch encoders have alternative functions while you keep the Alt button pressed down. The first encoder will tune all of the keys at the same time. If you just want to do octave shifting on the whole keypad instead of continuously tuning it, use the clutch button and the arrow buttons. The alternative functions of pitch encoders 2, 3, and 4 are to detune individual voices. In normal settings, if we hit a key, it triggers all 3 voices on the same note. But if we hold Alt and turn one of these encoders, we can set one of the voices to a specific interval. The minimum and maximum detune intervals are plus and minus 1 octave. And the two last parameters in the note setup screen, detune min and detune max, can limit this down to 1 semitone. Similar to the regular pitch encoder functions, if you hold Alt and press one of the encoders, it will reset the voice detune. The alternative pitch encoder functions do not end there. One of the more expressive parts of MIDI controllers are the mod wheels and pitch wheels. And we'll get to those in a separate video. I will just mention that it is possible to assign them to almost any parameter on a motor synth. The pitch encoders have alternative pitch wheel function. Instead of holding Alt and turning the encoder, hold Alt, push the encoder and then turn it to perform momentary detune on the whole keypad or individual voices. This, of course, is not as tactile as a pitch wheel on a MIDI keyboard, and it's not intended to be. Rather, it's an additional and somewhat hidden feature for people who have already mastered all of the other tricks with this keypad. In the latch mode, the keys also have an alternative function. Holding Alt and pressing an already active key will retrigger all envelopes for that particular note, and holding Alt and pressing an inactive key will play that note without actually latching it. The screen on the left from the note setup screen allows you to change the polyphony settings for each voice individually. Because the output from each motor is ever so slightly different from the other motors, it is sometimes nice to limit the polyphony and instead mix more than one motor to achieve a more powerful sound. A major utility of this built-in keypad is the interaction with other tools of the MOTOR Synth. We will look at them in separate videos, but here are a few examples. The screen on the right from the Note Setup screen allows you to assign different performance tools to individual voices, essentially allowing you to use each voice as a separate part instead of a layer of the same part. But this screen most definitely deserves its own video because it allows for many different setups and applications. The pitch encoders can work together with the modulation section. You can assign an LFO or an envelope to any of the pitch encoders, allowing you to automate the detune of the whole keypad or individual voices. You could also assign modulators to the parameters in the Note Setup screen. For example, the selected scale. I can't think of a good musical reason to do so, but I bet there is someone who can. And the final example for now is the motion record engine. It can capture nuanced pitch encoder action, as well as the key presses. This allows you to loop a performance without relying on programming the sequencer. The built-in keypad is not there to act as a typical piano keyboard. It is its own thing. It can be funny and quirky in some cases, and extremely powerful in others. Experienced piano players will be able to find new ways of expressing themselves, and people who have no idea how to use the black and white keys like myself will be able to enjoy the MOTOR Synth to its fullest.